where the West begins in Fort Worth, Texas, to around the globe. You are listening to Talk of the Night. And now, your host, Paranormal Phil. Thank you, and good evening, good morning, wherever you may be around the world, around the globe, or even in your own backyard. I am Paranormal Phil, and it's great to be back on the airways. I took a week off to get some things done, do some spring cleaning, and some other things that I needed to get done. And I'm just typing in the chat saying welcome to the show and join the chat. Now, if you don't know how to do that, just go over to Spreaker.com. It don't cost a dime. You don't have to record anything, and everything like that. You can sign up, then go to Talk of the Night on Facebook, and or not on Facebook, but on Spreaker, and scroll down a little bit. You'll see a chat bar. You can type in your message there. Join the discussion. Let me type that. Sorry, I have a hard time talking and typing at the same time. It's a problem. But tonight we are doing a mystery episode because my guest had to cancel at the last moment. Yesterday, I did reschedule for Thursday of next week because my guest next Thursday did not get back to me in time. So I had to make a decision. Now, had my guest been on tonight, next Thursday would have been the Mystery Door. Or I might have been able to find somebody then. But right now, I just did not have time within one day to schedule guests, research, and everything, and see if they were well for the show or anything like that. So I didn't get a chance to do that. But tonight, again, like I said, is a Mystery Door episode now. What the Mystery Door holds is, drumroll please, no one. Unfortunately, nobody contacted me to be a guest on tonight's show as a mystery guest. But I will let you know that if you ever want to be a mystery guest on the show, or if I ever do a mystery show, or you want to be a guest just regular, if it's a mystery guest, then I will post about Mystery Door a week in advance. So that way you have a little more time to prepare for it and know about it. But if you want to be a regular guest on the show, send me an email at talkingthenight@outlook.com, and I will get back to you. I'll check out all your information that you send. Please do not be just somebody wanting to talk about the paranormal or anything else that the show talks about, because that's what Friday night open lines are for. If you are wanting to be a guest, please have a website, please have a book, have something tangible to talk about, rather than saying, oh, I had a ghost experience and I want to talk about it. Well, that only allows for about 15 minutes of the show, if that. So that's why those type of calls are for Friday night open lines, where you can call in and share your stories, experiences, or questions about the paranormal or anything else that the show talks about. Now, tonight, there's a few possibilities. And I've already made up my mind as far as what I was going to do if I did not have a guest for tonight's show. And I want to share tonight's show around real quick, so that way people know that I am live. But there was a few different possibilities for tonight's show, and those were the guest, if I was going to have a guest on, a mystery guest, which I did not get. There was the whole random open lines possibility, which I decided I don't want to do open lines twice in a week. So I decided against the open lines. I'm live now. Just want to post that. So that way people know that I am live. And then the third option was just completely talk about just a random topic. And that's what I'm going to do tonight. Now, normally my shows are pretty much paranormal based. Mostly paranormal topics. But tonight I want to get into something that very few people talk about. And yes, it involves the conspiracy theory type stuff. But it's something that everybody should hear, everybody should know about, and everything like that. And I'm not telling you that this is factual or anything like that. I'll let you do your own research, believe what you want. If you don't want to believe me, I welcome calls in the second hour to discuss this. But please, I'm just giving you the information that's out there. Now, this is stuff coming out of their own mouths, not my own mouth. Yes, I'm reading it, I'm talking about it, but it's not what... I'm not making this story up. This is something that they have been planning for a long time, and we're going to get into that here in a second. Now, first, I want to talk about the show's website, talkofthenight.com. There's a story up there that I want to read real quick, because normally I do this before I bring in my guest. And this is on the Talk of the Night website, talkofthenight.com, under the story of the day. In 2 weeks, a major astronomy discovery will be announced. Something new about our galaxy is about to be announced, and astronomers are gearing up because it has the potential, and I misspelled that word wrong, so I will fix that after the show. I misspelled potential. Can I even talk tonight? So I will fix that, so please don't, by the time the show's over, I'll be pretty much editing the website for tomorrow night, to be pretty significant. Now, what is to be announced is remaining tight-lipped for now. However, there is reason to be excited. Astronomers have been studying the heart of the Milky Way galaxy for years, and what they found has the potential to revolutionize our understanding of it. On May 12th at 1500 CST, Central Standard Time, I think that is, 3 p.m., basically, for those that do not know military time, a press conference will be live streamed to reportedly present groundbreaking Milky Way results. The European Southern Observatory ESO Director General, Event Horizon Telescope EHT Project Director Jan van Lungveld, and I know I pronounce those names wrong, and EHT Collaboration Board Founding Chair Anton Zenzus, all will deliver remarks. Then a panel of EHT researchers will explain the results and answer the questions. And of course, if you go to talkingthenight.com, below the story, there's a link there. You can click on that, and it will take you to the story of the day. So, what we're going to talk about tonight, like I said, is in the realm of the conspiracy theories. But I want to share about this right now. And again, like I said, if you want to join the discussion, talk about this tonight, because I do want to discuss it. I want people to have an open discussion about stuff like this, because then it allows us to come up with solutions, answers, or maybe you agree with what they plan on doing. And I don't want to give away too much until we get into the topic, but yeah, I want to do that. Let's see. Just making sure I post that I'm live now. All right. So again, like I said, if you want to join the discussion, go over to Spreaker.com. Join the Spreaker. It doesn't cost a dime. You don't have to post anything. You don't have to do a show or anything like that. Just sign up, and then we'll be able to chat. Without signing up, you cannot chat, unfortunately. So I got 3 more places to share it real quick, and then we're going to get into tonight's topic, which is the Great Reset and other things that have been leading up to it. Now, when most of us talk about, or when I talk about the Great Reset and everything like that, most of us have heard of the Illuminati. Most of us have heard of the Bilderberg Group. Stuff like that to basically this high elite people wanting to take over the world, basically, and stuff like that. But now they have come out, and they're pretty much out in the open saying it, without saying, we want to take over the world. No, they're not saying that. But they're saying it in a way that you can actually discuss this and everything. Okay, I'm on there. Sorry, I do not type very well and everything like that. But again, tonight we're going to be talking about the Great Reset. We're going to be talking about other things, even the cerveza bug and everything like that. So, like I said, like I mentioned, that most of us have heard of the Bilderberg Group. We've heard of the Illuminati, everything like that. But what is the Great Reset? If you haven't heard of it, I'm going to share with you a couple of things. Now, what is the Great Reset? Well, we're going to get into that. And it all started with the pandemic, as I call it. You can call it the pandemic if you want. The cerveza bug and everything like that. It started with that. But actually, in a way, it kind of started well before that. And we'll talk about that here in a moment, too, later on in the show. But we're going to talk about the Great Reset and everything like that. So let's get into a story. And this is actually, we're going to do this. I'm going to play a video, but you're not going to hear any words, not going to hear any sounds. I'm going to talk about the video. And I will actually, tell you what, I will post that link up in the chat. So that way, I'll link it up to the chat. So that way you can look at it yourself and check it out for yourself. And that is a Facebook World Economic Forum. And this is their own Facebook page. So this is not somebody that made up this video to kind of play off of them and make it seem like they're evil. No, this is actually on their thing. And there's a couple of comments that I want to read, but and I'm sure there's a lot more. There's 1,044 comments, but I'm not going to get into all those comments because I got so much to talk about tonight. But this is on the World Economic Forum's Facebook page. And again, it's linked up in the chat and everything like that. And I will post the links that I used tonight on the archives for tonight's show and everything like that. But 8 predictions for the world in 2030. Now, most people have also heard of Agenda 21 and Agenda 2030. And this is what they are planning. And I've seen this video. I don't know if I don't think they have it on their YouTube channel anymore, the World Economic Forum, but they do have it on their Facebook. And you can find it, like I said, I linked it up in the chat. It'll be up on the website by tomorrow and everything like that. But this is 8 predictions for the world in 2030. And that's just less than 8 years away. So get ready for this. Now, number 1 is what you might have heard it, and I've heard it, everything like that, many times on videos and research that I've done. But you'll own nothing and you'll be happy. Well, we'll talk about all this stuff after that, but I'm going to get into this is from the World Economic Forum's own Facebook page again. Like I said, this is not me making this stuff up. Again, I linked the page to the chat so that way you can check it out for yourself. You'll own nothing and you'll be happy. Well, what does that mean? Well, they don't want you to own anything. They don't want you to have private property. They don't want you to have private vehicles or anything like that. They want you to rely on them. And they're not smug about it. They are out in the open and they're telling you, you'll own nothing and you'll be happy. I mean, that just right there alone sounds evil. Why would you be happy if you didn't own nothing? Yeah, I mean, there are some people that would love to be out in the middle of the woods and be self-sufficient and everything like that and own nothing. But those are very few and far in between. Now, most of us want to have a house. Most of us want to have a car. Most of us want to be able to live our lives the way we want to. But they want you to own nothing. And you'll be happy about it. Again, that's their words. Number 2, whatever you want, you'll rent and it'll be delivered by drone. Now, in this video, it shows a regular, pretty good-sized drone delivering a package, but that's a small package. What if the package is huge? Well, guess what? You don't get that kind of stuff because you don't need it, according to them. I mean, I'm sure they're talking about small items, food, and stuff like that they want you to eat. But again, why would you want to rent? Again, it goes back to you'll own nothing and be happy. They want you to rent everything. They don't want you to own anything. And there's other videos on their YouTube channel that you can check out. Look under World Economic Forum under at YouTube, and you'll see some videos. And check them out for yourself. Do your own research. Don't believe what I say and everything like that. But number 2, well, that was part of the drone and rent thing was part of number 1. Number 2, the U.S. won't be the world's leading superpower. Now, what does that mean? Well, guess what? They say in this video, and these are their words, a handful of countries will dominate. Not run, not help people live. They will dominate. A handful of countries, which are going to be the U.S., China, anybody that plays along with these globalist elite. Klaus Schwab's, the Rockefellers, the Bill and Melinda Gates, the Jeff Bezos of the world. Because they don't care about us. They don't care about the small people. Even Elon Musk, even though he is buying Twitter, I don't really trust him as far as I can toss him. And yeah, I hope he does some good things and allows free speech. Because no matter if you disagree with me, I don't want your voice censored, and you should not want my voice censored, because that's how we come to understand it, is by discussing these things and not saying we want to do harm to somebody. But no, that's what they want. They want to do harm to people that have dissenting voices, like myself. And eventually, if you haven't seen the movie 1984, we're going to talk about the Ministry of Truth, or also known as the Disinformation Governance Board here shortly. But they want dissenting voices like myself and other people that talk about this silent, so your ears cannot hear it. Yes, they're cutting out my tongue, but guess what? They're cutting out your ear, cutting off your ears, so you cannot hear it. Because they want you only to hear what they put out rather than independent media and everything like that. And again, I don't have an agenda to talking about this. Yes, I do have my belief systems as far as what I've researched and looked up and everything like that. And again, I'm giving you all the information in the chat myself to let you check out for yourself. So it's not like I'm making this stuff up again or anything like that. But a handful of countries will dominate. Not each country sovereign, each country doing their own thing, living their life, helping their people, which these countries don't help their people. They help the rich, they help the ones that they want to help, but to fill their agenda, but no, they don't help the poor people. They don't help the small people. But again, it says a handful of countries will dominate. Number 3, you won't die waiting for an organ donor. Now, what's that about? Well, they're talking about we won't transplant organs, we'll plant new ones instead. Now, yes, that sounds like a great idea to where there doesn't need to be a need for organ donors. And again, like I said, it sounds like a good idea on the outside. But on the inside, what is that agenda? Well, could that printed heart not work? Could that, well, yeah, of course, a real one, possibly there's chances that it might not work anyways, or something medical that causes an organ that is transplanted not to work. Again, I'm not saying that this is bad, but there are possible nefarious things for something like that. Number 4, and I don't know if anybody listening has heard of this, but Bill Gates owns a ton of farmland and land. Now, what do they want to do? They want to push us into the cities. I don't think they want us owning our own land to where we can be self-sufficient, living off the land, whether it be having our own, well, at least a little bit. Like me, I want to live out in the country where I have chickens, to where I have my own eggs. I don't have to go to the store unless I run out of the chickens are not producing. I want to be able to have cattle eventually, maybe, to where I can have my own beef. I want to live on land where there is deer, where I can have deer meat. Stuff like that. But they don't want you to have that. But it says, number 4, you'll eat much less meat. Well, yes, vegans can survive without meat, but protein in meat is vital for the human body. Now, let's say fish, for example. Let's see, what else? Chicken, beef. Let's see, what else? So much more. And I'm just doing something on my second computer because I got things open there. But it's vital for the human body, I believe. But it says an occasional treat, not a staple, for the good of the environment. Well, here comes the climate, the environment and our health. Well, here comes the whole thing with climate change. Oh, well, we can eat meat, but not that much because the cattle are causing... you've heard this from AOC. The cow farts are causing deforestation, stuff like that. I mean, think about it. Yes, a green world would be nice. But who is the biggest polluters of them all? Those that are in power. Those that are the richest among us. Like I said, the Bezos, the Gates, the Klaus Schwabs, the Rockefellers, just about every politician. I don't put no faith in no politician anymore. I used to a long time ago. Until I woke up, I learned this stuff. I started researching. I started digging down that rabbit hole. And again, I'm not saying you have to believe me. I'm just presenting the information and let you yourself look up this information for yourself and decide for yourself. But again, occasional treat, not a staple, for the good of the environment and our health. Well, if we eat less meat, unless you're a vegan, that could be detrimental to our health. Number 5, 1 billion people will be displaced by climate change. There it is. Whole thing with climate change. We hear about it quite a bit with droughts, with flooding, with severe storms, wildfires, stuff like that. But do you not know that our own government in the 70s, or was it the 60s? I think it was the 70s, that they used weather modification to help them win the Vietnam War. It's in declassified documents. So to believe that they're not part of these weather phenomenons causing droughts, causing wildfires, I'm not saying they are, because I don't have proof. I'm not saying they are. But think about it. They have the technology to do weather modification. And they used it in Vietnam. So what makes you think that they're not using it now? So, again, they say 1 billion people will be displaced by climate change. Again, do we really know that that's the truth? Or is that what they're telling us? And do you really believe it? I mean, I'm not saying that you shouldn't, because you're welcome to believe anything that you want. But I want to hear a discussion between, if you don't believe it, I want to hear a discussion with you, and I want to talk about it. Rather than say, you must believe my point of view and nobody else's point of view. That's not how we get things done. That's George Orwellian 1984 stuff. Again, we're going to talk about the Ministry of Truth later in the show tonight. But I got so much stuff. I wanted to get this video done. And I'm going to finish up this video, as we got 3 more things to talk about in this video. But we'll be right back after the short commercial break as we talk about the Great Reset and so much more. We'll be right back.
Do you have a talk radio, Facebook Live, or YouTube show and would like guests for your show but don't know where to go to get them? Well, go to radioguestlist.com and sign up today. They have all different experts in different fields, and you can find the ones that are just right for your show. That's radioguestlist.com. Sign up today. It's free.
To advertise on Talk in the Night, send an email to talkinthe.night@outlook.com. Talk in the Night has plans to fit your budget. Get your product or business heard around the world by the Talk in the Night listening audience. Plans include 30-second spots and banner ads on the show's website and mentioned on the social media sites. So get your product or business heard around the world today. Shop the Talk in the Night merch store today and pick up one of the many products with 9 different designs to choose from. The store has men's and women's apparel, drinkware, houseware, and accessories. Pick up a t-shirt, coffee mug, or anything else on there and support the show today. Go to talkinthe.night.com to find a link to the merch store. And now, back to Talk in the Night with your host, Paranormal Phil. Okay, and we are back with the Mystery Door episode. As we're talking about the Great Reset, because again, I didn't have a person call in for the mystery guest, so no mystery guest tonight. So it is talking about the Great Reset and so much more about conspiracies and stuff like that. Now, there are such things as conspiracy facts, which I'm presenting to you the facts out of their own mouths, not out of my mouth. Yes, I'm reading it, I'm talking about it, but this stuff came from their own mouths, whether it be in writing, whether it be words. Again, we're going to play a video here shortly to talk about the Great Reset. But this video doesn't have any sound because it just plays music and it has words on the thing. But if you want to watch it for yourself, pop in the chat. There's a link to the video that I'm talking about right now. And that is from the World Economic Forum, talking about you'll own nothing and you'll be happy. So we were on number 5 talking about 1 billion people will be displaced by climate change and everything like that. And they also say, we'll have you do a better job at welcoming and integrating refugees. Let's see. I think that has been going on with Afghanistan refugees and other refugees. But do you see the higher oligarchy, politicians, the Jeff Bezos, the Bill Gates of the world, welcoming these refugees into their neighborhood? No, you don't see that. But they want us to do it. So that makes our population grow, and then we have less area to have these farms. And of course, like I mentioned before the break, Bill Gates owns a ton of farmland. Wonder why. But they want us to integrate and welcome refugees. Number 6 on this list, polluters. I did not pause it soon enough. polluters will have to pay to emit carbon dioxide, CO2. Well, guess what? Who's the biggest polluters of the world? These rich people, these politicians, the elitists. They're flying all over the world in their private jets because they can't fly economy. And do you think they have electric airplanes? No, I don't think so. We'll talk about that too, electric vehicles and stuff like that. But no, they are emitting a lot of CO2 themselves, more than me and you. Big companies, corporate companies, are emitting this stuff. But they want these companies not to pay it, rather than actually the ones that are polluting the most. Now, yes, I lived in Los Angeles. I've seen the smog. I've seen the nasty air. I've tasted it. And it has gotten better. But if you look up in the sky and see these, what they want you to believe is contrails, which is vapor trails. But vapor trails dissipate after a short distance. These things are chemtrails. They're lasting a lot longer. So what are they spraying? And this is nothing new. This is something that has been put out there already. They've talked about it. And they admitted it. They're not hiding this stuff anymore. They used to, but with this day and age with the internet and so much information out there, we can find out so much information about it. And of course, they don't want you to know that. But they're emitting this spray into the atmosphere to possibly control weather, possibly see the clouds for rain, weather modification. It could be some other nefarious thing. We don't know what they're spraying, but they are spraying something. And all you have to do is look up into the sky and see these lines in the sky, and then eventually, over a couple of hours, those lines spread out and form cloud cover. Do they want to kind of play Mr. Burns and block out the sun? Or, as Bill Gates said, I want to block out the sun. I mean, think about it. They're not hiding their agenda anymore. They're putting it out there for us to see. But a lot of us are not seeing that. We're not talking about it. And that's what I'm doing here, talking about it tonight. Again, I'm not saying you have to believe me. I'm going to let you, every link that I talk about tonight, I will put in the chat. I will put up on the Talk of the Night website for tonight's episode, so that way you can look at it for yourself. I'm not going to hide it from you. But again, this is on Facebook.com for the World Economic Forum. There will be a global price on carbon. This will make fossil fuels history. Well, guess what? If they make fossil fuels history, that means electrical vehicles. But does anybody think about stuff like this, where if somebody has a nuclear weapon or an EMP, something that will produce a electromagnetic pulse, that's going to knock out all electrical systems. But do you think they're going to give up their fossil fuel cars? Do you think they're going to give up their private jets? No, I don't think so. Again, I could be wrong, but I want to hear your thoughts on it. And that's why I'm talking about it. But there will be a global price on carbon. This will help make fossil fuel history. What do you think they've been doing since the whole Ukraine-Russia thing? I mean, inflation. It's brought up food prices. It's brought up gas prices. Well, no, they'll tell you that was Putin's fault. They'll tell you that was all him. But if you look back on 2020 and look at the World Economic Forum and the Great Reset, the Davos in Switzerland in 2020 and 2021, they were talking about Putin as a person part of their forum. So, let's see. Is it really Putin? Or is it them wanting to destroy us by allowing inflation to take place and create higher prices? And that's all. This thing that I'm talking about right now has been the past couple of years. Maybe a little further back. But as far as inflation goes, as far as rising prices go, that has been going on since 1913 when the world central banks came online and the Federal Reserve. That's when inflation started. That's when prices started going up. I mean, back in 1973 when I was born, gas prices were maybe around $1 or a little over. Now here in Texas, and that was in California. Now California's gas prices $6 a gallon. Some places $8, $9 a gallon, depending on where you're at. If you're out in the middle of the desert and there's only one gas station, of course they're going to gouge you. Texas, the gas prices are $3 to $4 a gallon. Maybe some places close to $5, depending on where you're at. Everywhere in the world, gas prices have gone up, and that's only been 40, I'll be 49 this year, so 48, 49 years since I've been born. The gas prices went up. Now you think, well, $1 something compared to $4 a gallon. Well, or $1 something compared to $6 something a gallon. You might think, oh, that's not much, but look at what you could have bought back in the 70s at a grocery store with $20. You could cut a whole basket full of stuff for that $20. Yes, money was not worth what it was. You didn't make as much back then, but prices were lower. But if you had today's 20 back in the 70s, you could buy a full cart, maybe 2 carts of groceries. Now, one YouTuber that I watch to find out about a lot of this stuff and where I learned a lot of this stuff. Of course, I don't believe everything he says, but I do my own research and look into it myself. And he bought 7 or 8 items just recently and spent almost $90 for it. That's very little in that cart. So think about it. They want to destroy the dollar. They want to bring us to a digital currency, and that's a story for another day, but we might talk about it in this episode. But number 7, you could be preparing to go to Mars. Scientists will have worked out a way to keep you healthy in space. The start of the journey to find alien life. Well, as I talked about at the start of the show with the story of the day, could that be the announcement that they're going to make on May 12th, that they found alien life? Even though we know it's already here, they've mentioned it in declassified documents and other things. If you watched the documentary by my guests 2 weeks ago, Tyler and Chris, for Dockside Media, check out their link on the Talk of the Night website. They just recently talked to somebody that worked with intelligence agencies that know about alien life. Again, I'm not going to give too much of the details on it. I'll let you check it out for yourself. But go to Dark Side Media and check it out for yourself. But could this be what they're talking about on the 12th? That we're going to start sending humans to Mars or further out into the cosmos? Again, I don't know the answers, but this is their agenda. This is out of their own words. World Economic Forum on Facebook, so you can check it out again. The link is in the chat. Again, Western value number 8. Western values will have been tested to the breaking point. We have a tradition here in the West for freedom and checks and balances. And it says checks and balances that underpin our democracies must not be forgotten. Well, let's see. Democracy, if you want to believe what our founding fathers said, I think it was Benjamin Franklin, I think if I'm not mistaken, said democracy is two wolves and a lamb deciding what to have for dinner. Who's going to eat? And that's going to be the wolves, not the lamb. Again, they don't want us to have these conversations. They don't want us to have these checks and balances. They might say it to make it seem good. And if I'm wrong, let me know in the comments. But that's their video. And it says like, comment, and share it. Yeah. I'm not going to share. Well, I shared it by talking about it here. I commented about it right here. But I'm going to read a couple of the comments on that post. Again, it's linked up in the chat on Spreaker.com, so you can check it out for yourself. Anna Ruiz Anna, the purpose of this sleight of hand is to eliminate private property and small business. And again, people think it started with COVID, but it started well before that. And we're going to get into that. But which is the fundamental principle of prosperity. Funny, I will not own anything, but I will have to rent, which means that someone else will be the owner instead of me. Let me guess who. We are not stupid. Again, when I talked about you own nothing and be happy from this video, well, somebody's going to own it. And they're just renting it out to you and making money off of it, making money off of you and me to have this rented to us. But they don't want you to own private property. They don't want you to own tools, equipment, stuff like that that could help you sustain life. Because I guarantee you, if this stuff is implemented, we will be, say, like myself, if we had to rent, like I had to rent a computer and all this equipment to put on my show, the moment I talked about this, and again, I mentioned 1984 by George Orwell, Ministry of Truth, and everything, speak truth, or truth speak. I said it backwards. It's Truth Speak from 1984 movie or the book, whatever you want. Check it out for yourself. Look it, watch it, read it, understand it. But they want you to believe what they want. If you do not, in the movie, you get killed. I'm not saying that's what they're going to do here. I'm not saying that at all. But let's say we're at that point where I talk about this stuff and they don't like what I say. Well, they can silence me. And if this is my way of feeding myself, or even since I'm a disabled veteran, they don't like what I say, they can cut off my payments. And that's not where we need to be. Or if you have a job they can say, well, they'll go to your boss, well, he's speaking misinformation, which we're going to talk about the disinformation governance board that Biden just recently appointed Nina Janowski, or I forget how it's pronounced. I'm sorry, I'm mistaken, mispronounced the word, spelling or name and everything like that. But we'll talk about her later on in the show. I'm trying to get as much in as I can, so I don't want to talk about too much. But again, if they think that I am putting out disinformation, they can silence my voice. They can silence you. Say you have a job and you say something they don't like. Well, they can go to your boss and say, we need him fired. He's spreading misinformation. Well, guess what? You can't feed your family now. I'm not talking about just me. I'm talking about everybody. And it's up to us to open our eyes and look into this information ourselves. But I wanted to bring up that video again. It's linked up in the chat. I won't read the second comment, but you can look at the comments all yourself and look at it. Now, we talked about owning nothing and being happy about it. Well, Forbes did a story on it, and this was done in 2016, well before the Cerveza. I almost said it. I don't want to say it too many times, but this was done in November of 2016, this story. Welcome to 2030. I own nothing, have no privacy, and life has never been better. What do they want you to think? Well, I'm happy. I don't have to worry about paying any bills, which a lot of people might not want to pay bills, but guess what? It's a part of life. It's a part of adulthood. But to pay what they want you to pay, that's ridiculous. But we're going to get into the story real quick. I'm not going to read the whole thing. I'll link it up. I'm going to link the whole story up in the chat again. I'll put it in there for you to read along if you want. And go to Spreaker.com. Sign up for a free account. It don't cost anything. And again, this will all be linked up to the Talking Tonight website as well, too. But you can click on the links in the chat, and it'll take you to the page, and you can read along with us. We got a break in 7 minutes, so I'm going to try and get through this as much as possible because I got, again, a ton of things to still get through. But again, this is from Forbes from 2016, where it says, welcome to the year 2030. Welcome to my city, or should I say, our city. I don't own anything. I don't own a car. I don't own a house. I don't own any appliances or any clothes. Think about that. Don't own a car. Well, how you get around? Well, yeah, you can say buses, subways, stuff like that. But that only takes you so far. You don't have that freedom that you have in a car. You don't own a house. Well, what? You're renting an apartment like I'm doing right now? I mean, again, like I said, the minute I say something bad about them with this whole agenda, I can be cut off and I won't have no house. I have to resort, and I will not allow them to put me in housing, in their housing. No, I will live out in the forest and let them try to find me before I allow them to own everything and me own nothing. Eventually, I will have my own house. Hopefully, by the end of this year, or maybe sooner. I don't know. We'll see. But I won't own my own clothes. Well, guess what? Do they want us wearing uniforms where they can easily track us with tracking numbers or tracking devices in the clothing? Again, I'm not saying that this is true, but I'm putting out the possibility out there so you can make up your own mind. It's continuing on. It says, it might seem odd to you, but it makes perfect sense for us in the city Everything you consider a product has now become a service. We have access to transportation, accommodations, food, and all things we need in our daily lives. One by one, all these things become free, so it ended up not making sense for us to own much. Well, guess what? If everything's free, then you don't have to work. And guess what? Nobody to produce the products. Maybe machines, but machines break down. Somebody's got to work those machines. But if you're working on the machines, if you're not paying for anything, then they don't have to pay you anything to work on those machines. Then you become a slave. Think about it. Look at it. I'm presenting the information right out there for you to make up your own mind and everything. I'm going to read one more paragraph and let you look at the rest of the story on your own. First, communication became digitalized and free to everyone. Then when clean energy became free, things started to move quickly. Transportation dropped dramatically in price. Well, what did they do in 2020 when they locked us down? We didn't travel much, did we? That was the start of something like this. I mean, think about it. It made sense, continue on, it made no sense for us to own cars anymore because we could call a driverless vehicles, which we have nowadays, or a flying car for longer journeys within minutes, which they are developing out there for flying cars and everything like that. And what happens again if there is electromagnetic pulse? That stuff comes crashing down, or the car stops and you're stuck out in the middle of nowhere maybe, or stuck in the city and chaos is going all around. Well, again, think about it. Think about the consequences of everything they're trying to put in plan. It's continuing on. We stayed transporting ourselves in much more organized and coordinated ways when public transit become easier, quicker, and more convenient than the car. Now, I can hardly believe that we accepted congestion and traffic jams, which is a bad thing if you live in Los Angeles, New York, Chicago, Dallas, any major city. You know about traffic jam. Not to mention the air pollution from combustion engines. What were we thinking? Again, they want to make you feel bad about it. But again, those rich elitists are doing exactly what they're telling us not to do. But again, I put the information out there. I'll let you look at it for yourself. And again, like I said, we got just one more hour left in the show, and I got so much more to talk about. But we'll be right back to talk about all that after this short commercial break. We'll be right back as we talk about the Great Reset and so much more. We'll be right back.
Dance with me and then you'll see in the desert where we can be free. You know that love is what you see. So it's time you hug me and kiss me, my love. Some firewood will warm you up. A bottle of wine and the talk won't stop. Be sure that I'll be here all night. So it's time you hug me and kiss me, my love. The moonlight shines within your eyes, and your love caresses me, and the stars came down, turned into a crown in this dream reality.
The weather is getting warmer and people are out and about. Well, if you love ghost hunting, now is the time to pick up some new gear. GhostStock.com has a wide variety of equipment to choose from, and one of those items is Blue Buddy. He's back. The talking bear every investigator wants on their team. Click on the Go Stop banner ad at the top of the show's website and pick up your Boo Buddy today. Go to spring.com and sign up to create your own design or choose from a design from one of the many creators on there. Spring has ways to integrate your store on social media, custom stores, and they have digital and physical products. While you're there, check out the Talk in the Night merch store. To get started with Spring today, click on the banner ad on the Talk in the Night website. Go to the show's website and click on the links for each of my guests and purchase a book or other product that they may be promoting. Without them, there would be no Talk in the Night. Whether you're interested in the paranormal, conspiracy, technology, health, relationships, or any other topic the show covers, my guests have something for you. Check it out today on talkingthenight.com.
His soul's just like a stone, vulnerable at night. She's always been on her own, doesn't need a man to fight. There goes my lady with her plans. We break all the rules when we can. I'm part-time singer in a band. Ooh, she's washing dishes right now. Soon we'll be in Neverland. Yeah, she shines all the time.
To call into the show, Skype Talk in the Night or by phone at 817-717-1280. Now back to Talk in the Night with your host, Paranormal Phil. Okay, and we are back talking about the Great Reset and so much more. The Agenda 2030 and everything like that. Klaus Schwab, the World Economic Forum, so much more. Now, we do have the phone lines open for the second hour where if you want to call in, discuss everything that I've talked about so far or talk about this now. Let's have a discussion. Let's have an open discussion. Keep your calls to 2 minutes or no more than 2 minutes, so that way I can get in a bunch more calls just in case. I get a lot of calls. If I don't get any calls, we're going to continue talking about this, so that way you can get more information. Again, every link that I talk about tonight is going to be up on the Talk in the Night website. But if you want to call into the show, use the Skype name Talk in the Night or by phone at 817-717-1280. Again, any calls I welcome to discuss this. Again, keep the calls to no more than 2 minutes. So I want to play a video, which I'm going to link up in the chat right now, where you can check it out for yourself. This is from the World Economic Forum as well. And the title of it is, What is the Great Reset? Davos Agenda 2021. Now, this one I'm not going to do too much talking, but I do have to stop it every once in a while to break it up so that way I don't get a copyright claim or anything like that. But I want to talk about this. This has got some wording to it, so that way you can hear out of their own mouths what they're talking about.
The pandemic has radically changed the world as we know it, and the actions we take today as we work to recover will define our generation.
Now is the time to think what history would say about this crisis.
Now, what will history say about this crisis? Well, it's a crisis that they created. But they want, again, talking about you'll own nothing and be happy about it. They don't want, and talking about the Disinformation Governance Board, they don't want you to know the truth. They put it out well later, and I don't think they even talked about not Area 51, but talked about Roswell. It took over 30 years before they released information. I think it was earlier this year, from 1947 to earlier this year or last year, that long of a span before they released anything saying that Roswell was a UFO crash and there was material there that was out of this world. Again, but I don't think they released everything about it. And I'm pretty darn certain, 99.9% sure that they did not release everything. And do you think they're going to release anything like this in the history books? No, they want to destroy the history books. They want to destroy the dissenting voices that talk about this, open people's minds to this stuff. They don't want you knowing about it. So, again,
2020 has been challenging on a lot of levels, as economic, environmental, and societal frailties have been laid bare.
And why was things put back? And this video was posted in January 2021. But they locked down everything. People went into lockdown. They were in fear. And people are waking up to the agenda that they put out there. But we're not awake completely. We're not opening our eyes enough to see exactly what they're doing. If we're watching mainstream media, we're watching what they're putting out. But are we actually looking what they put out and then going back and research it? No, we're not. And that's what we need to do as a society, as human beings, as individuals. We need to open our eyes and look at everything. Think with common sense. Think with an open mind. And with that, they cannot hide it.
But it's also proved that when we need to, we can act rapidly and restructure our lives.
Of course, they were talking about the mask and everything like that, but look at how many times they said, well, at the start they said masks were not effective. Then they said, wear a mask, then social distance, then wear 2 masks, wear 3 masks. Now they scaled back on the mask. Now, if you think, if this was as deadly as they claimed it was, and I'm not saying that there wasn't a virus, I just tend to believe that it was more of a deadlier strain of the flu, which we can die from too, and pneumonia. But they labeled it with the cerveza bug. I'm not using the real name because if I use too many buzzwords, they will take down this stream and you won't hear it. They'll cut out my tongue. They'll cut off your ears, hypothetically, because they don't want you to hear this information. But I'm putting it out anyway so you can do the research. Because if they talk about it, it's okay. If I talk about it or somebody else talks about it, it's not okay because we have a critical mind. We're thinking instead of believing every word that they say. But if they thought that this was as deadly as it was, shouldn't we have all been wearing hazmat suits? Shouldn't we have been with gas masks and biohazard suits and stuff like that? I would think so, if it was as deadly as they say. But even they've come out and said that it's not as deadly as it is. But they didn't put that on mainstream media. They buried it deep on the web to where you had to know about this stuff and research it. And there were people that do that kind of stuff. I don't have the time to do that because I'm busy researching my guests for my show and everything like that. But I do every once in a while look at this information that I see, and I don't watch mainstream media because it's all lies. We can talk about that on another episode. But anyways, are mostly lies. They put out a little bit of truth here and there. I'm not going to say they put out all lies. I'm not going to say that. Because they will put out little bits of truth, so they sprinkle in that truth so they make you believe what they have to say. But continue on.
Recovery from the pandemic is an opportunity. We can see rays of hope in the form of a vaccine, but there is no vaccine for the planet. Nature needs a bailout.
Now, they're talking about climate change. They're talking about the vax for people, but there's no vax for the climate, for Earth. Well, there's common sense. Let's not destroy it. But again, who's destroying most of it? The billionaires, the people that, the politicians, the elitists that are putting out more of these carbon emissions and blaming us for doing it. Well, guess what? They're doing it more than we are. And if AOC was right with the cow fart thing, well, again, Bill Gates owned most of the farmland in the United States, so wouldn't he be the one that is causing most of this? But you haven't heard about that, have you, lately? Because guess what? He bought all this stuff. Now they're not going to talk about that. So, again, I want to do the show to open people's eyes and everything like that. Again, this video's in the chat. A link is in the chat.
You don't want to go back to the status quo that you had before simply because it was the status quo that got us here.
With everything for...
And it got us here to where they're changing it to fit their agenda. They kept that status quo going. They said they want to get rid of that status quo, but yet, no, they're keeping it going.
Falling apart, we can reshape the world in ways we couldn't before. Ways that better address so many of the challenges we face. And that's why...
And change it in their image, basically. They're playing God, basically, is what they're doing. And say, we are the gods, we'll change it the way we see fit.
So many are calling for a great reset. A great reset? That sounds more like buzzword bingo, masking...
Like I said, buzzword bingo, like I said, buzzwords like the cerveza, the actual word, not what I'm saying, and stuff like that. And even that might become a buzzword. And like I said, Ministry of Truth, Disinformation Governance Board. I mean, those are buzzwords. I mean, the algorithms are listening to that. And I do have a ban on my Twitter. I looked at it. I might talk about that on Facebook at a later date. But you can check out if you got a shadow ban or something like that. Now, I don't know how to check if I got a shadow ban on Facebook or any other of my social medias. But I know Twitter, I do have a ban on there that is hiding my post. And you can see for yourself if you want to do yourself search for yourself for your Twitter account. Again, I'll talk about that another day, but not today. Because I didn't pull up that link. But I'm not going to play this whole video. You can watch the rest of this video for yourself. Again, it's linked up in the chat. And it will be linked up on the Talking Tonight website later on. Because like I said, I got so much more to talk about this. And again, the phone lines are open if you want to call in and discuss everything that I talked about so far. The Skype line, using the Skype name Talking Tonight, or by phone at 817-717-1280. Or go over to Spreaker.com, sign up for a free account. It don't cost anything. You don't have to record anything. You can go there, sign up, go to Talking Tonight on Spreaker, scroll down on the live episode. Click on the live episode and scroll down a little bit. There's a chat bar. You can pop in the chat. Let me know you're listening. Say hi. You don't even have to say much. Just say hi. I'm listening or something like that. And then I welcome anybody that wants to discuss this. Whether you want to call or pop in the chat and say something about it. Now, a lot of people are afraid to talk about it, but guess what? I'm not. I'm here talking about it. And I'm not afraid. If I'm going to die at their hands, I'm going to go down with a fight. Now, before we get into the World Economic Forum and their website, because there's a lot to talk on there, remember about the story from Forbes from 2016? Well, everybody's probably heard of Event 201, and it was a live exercise that happened a couple months before everything went online about the whole virus. And Event 201 was a 3.5 hour pandemic tabletop exercise that simulated a series of dramatic scenario-based facility discussions confronting difficult true-to-life dilemma associated with response to hypothetical but scientifically plausible pandemic. Again, this happened in Event 201 took place in October of 2019. In December of 2019 is when we learned about the whole cerveza bug. And who put on this Event 201? Well, we're talking about the people that want to put in plan Agenda 2030, the Great Reset, digital currency, everything like that. The World Economic Forum, John Hopkins Center for Health and Security. They're not part of the Great Reset, but they were part of this event that led to it. The Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, they were part of it. I'm sure. I don't think the Rockefellers were part of this, but in the early 2000s, and we're going to talk about that in a moment too, the Rockefellers did have a plan to leading up to all this. Now, whether this information is true or not, that's up for you to decide. But again, the information is there on their own websites, out of their own mouths, out of their own videos. I shared stuff from the World Economic Forum. I shared, this one is Center for Health Security.org, which is John Hopkins Center. And again, this took place in October 2019, and I'm going to put the link up in the website, or up in the chat, where you can check it out for yourself, so you can read along with what I'm talking about. And again, I want you to discuss this and talk with me. If you're listening to this, not live, but listen to the recording of this, please leave a comment under the episode, whether it be on Spreaker, Apple, go to Facebook, go to the website, any social media, and let me know what you think about what I talked about tonight if you're not listening live. Because, again, with open discussion, then we can discuss this stuff. And I'm putting out the information and plausibilities of what they could be planning based off of their own words. And, again, it's up to you to decide. It was my way of looking at this information and make up in my mind, and still researching it to this day to make up a conscious decision on this. But again, I'm not going to read too much into Event 201 or do anything like that, but you can link, like I said, the link is in the chat. But related to Event 201, which, like I said, here's another link, and this is a PDF from the Rockefeller Foundation. People said this is false information, but again, I welcome you to do your own research and look at it. But if it is not false, Well, like I said, look at how they made up something about the mask, and then now it's not helpful anymore, and stuff like that. Or like, look at how the BBC mentioned World Trade 7 building collapsing live on air as they're standing in front of it a good distance away, but yet it was still standing in the background when they were saying it collapsed. Okay? And that information will eventually get told the truth. But there is so much out there. But if we go to page 18 of this document that I got on here, and I'm going to just skip down. This is scenarios for the future of technology and international development. And again, you can look up this information for yourself. It does show the Rockefeller Foundation, the GBN Global Business Network, again, the central banks, stuff like that. Think about it. It's all there. But we're going to talk about lockstep before the commercial break. And then we're going to get into the World Economic Forum's website talking about the Great Reset. Again, their own website, their own words. But this one, like I said, it's... The people have said that it's misinformation. Again, I don't know the truth fully on this, but if you look at the wording to it, it seems like, and it seems like, that they had planned this all along. This happened in 2012. But it says, a world of tighter top-down government control and more authoritarian leadership with limited innovation and growing citizen pushback. Well, what is the Great Reset? What is what they want to do with the you own nothing and be happy? They want to control. Top-down control, government control. And even the government is just the puppets. The politicians are the puppets to these elitists like the Klaus Schwabs, the Jeff Bezos. Actually, Jeff Bezos is probably even a puppet. He might not be, but he's probably more of a puppet like a politician. But the Klaus Schwabs, the Rockefellers, stuff like that, those ones behind the scenes, they want this stuff. They want a new world order. They want a one world government. And again, it's in their own wording. Just look at what they're putting out. But it says, and I'm not going to read too much about this. I'm going to kind of skim through it a lot. In 2012, the pandemic that the world has been anticipating for years finally hit. Unlike 2009's H1N1, this new influenza, if I can talk, strain originated from wild geese. Well, what happened? Could this have been like Event 201, but earlier in the years in like 2012? Was this a plan that kind of leaked out and they never got around to implementing the Great Reset that way? Could be. But from wild geese was extremely virulent and deadly. There's that word, deadly. Again, even the most pandemic-prepared nations were quickly overwhelmed when the virus streaked around the world, infecting nearly 20% of the global population, killing 8 million in just 7 months. Well, again, like I said, it's in their game plan. This might have been, like I said, the whole planning stages like Event 201, but it never got around to it. And again, they want to blame all high prices on Putin. Well, it's them by causing the inflation, by giving us the stimulus checks, by just recently they did $33 billion to Ukraine. of taxpayer dollars without us being allowed to say, no, that money shouldn't go to them. That money shouldn't go to other governments. It should go to us, the American people. It should be in our pockets. Or if we want to help, let's help out the homeless population in this world. We can do so much. We can help the whole United States homeless population with that 33 billion or 33 trillion? I can't remember. I think it was 33 billion, but it could have been trillion. I'll have to look that up. But let me see. Did I share this link? I want to make sure if I did or not. Yeah, I did. Okay. I wanted to make sure I shared this link. But it's been planned before. They just got caught with their pants down, basically, I think, with this document. That's why people have said that it's false. It's continuing on reading. 7 months, the majority of them healthy young adults. Well, what happened with this pandemic? The pandemic also had deadly effects on economics. International mobility of both people and goods screeched to a halt. Deliberately debilitating, I could not say that word for some reason, industries like tourism and breaking global supply chains. What's happening now? I mean, this was in 2012. Think about it. Even locally, normally bustling shops and office buildings sat empty for months, devoid of both employees and customers. Think about it. I mean, this was Rockefeller's plan, lockstep, and I think they just implemented it, and now they're calling it the Great Reset because they got caught with their pants down, basically. But here's a headline. If you go to page 22, headlines in lockstep, 2013. Quarantine restricts in-person contact, cellular networks overloaded. This was their whole plan from 2013. 2015, intercontinental trade hit by strict pathogen controls. What's happened with food supplies and other supply chains? 2017, Italy addresses immigration caregiver gap with robots. I think they've been doing something like that in Italy. But that was not back in 2017, though. It says in 2018, will Africa's embrace of authoritarian capitalism, a lot China continue? 2022, Vietnam to require a solar panel on every home. 2023, proliferating trade networks in Eastern and Southern Africa, strengthening regional ties. And then in 2028, Africa leaders fear repeated Nigeria's 2026 government collapse. So they are planning for a collapse of the world economies and everything like that. They've been planning this for a long time. Again, all the links are up in the chat. They'll be up on the Talking the Night website later tonight or sometime tomorrow. Probably tonight, but you can check out all those by clicking on them, looking for yourself, and read the documents. Again, I'm just skimming over a lot of the documents so that way I don't put out too much information, but you can look for yourself. But we are at the last commercial break of the night, but we'll be right back after the short commercial break as we continue talking about the Great Reset and so much more, and open phone calls where you can call in and talk about it and discuss yourself. We'll be right back.
So many walls, so close calls. Feels like a losing game. Set my sights high, then I go blind. I don't wanna fade away. I stitch myself up when I'm feeling loved. Why do I come apart when I've had enough? I just gotta tell myself, breathe deep, breathe slow.
Do you need music for your radio show, podcast, or YouTube channel but need a music license to play it on your show? Well, go to artlist.io and check out the plans they have. They have 3 plans to choose from: personal, unlimited, and enterprise. All the music that you hear on the show is from Artlist, and there is a banner ad on the show's website. Check it out today. Do you love the strange, unusual, and weird unexplained mysteries? Do you like reading about the paranormal and other happenings? Well, I have the website for you, unexplainedmysteries.com. On there you will find so much, such as the latest news and articles, forums, news with video, and so much more. That's unexplained-mysteries.com, or you can click on the banner ad on the show's website to take you right there. Do you love history? Do you wonder what happened on this day in history? Well, check out history.com/this day in history and find out what happened on this day in recorded history. You can also click on the image on the Talk of the Night website under This Day in History and check out one of the many things that happened. The show's website lists a different event in history every day, so check it out today.
Call into the show, Skype Talk in the Night, or by phone at 817-717-1280. Now back to Talk in the Night with your host, Paranormal Phil.
Okay, and we are back with the last half hour of the show. I'm going to try and get as much information in it as possible. Again, all the links are going to be up on the Talk in the Night website either tonight or sometime tomorrow. Now, I did want to go to twitter.com and click on World Economic Forum's Twitter account. Nina Jankowski, I cannot pronounce her name for some reason. And we'll talk about Disinformation Governance Board on Twitter as well. Before getting into the Great Reset World Economic Forum's website. But I'm only going to mention a couple of things here. But at the top of their Twitter account, the last post was on February 27th. It says, "We deeply condemn the aggressions by Russia against Ukraine, our full statement." And there's a link to click on it. I'm not going to click on that link. But I'm going to pop in the Twitter account for the World Economic Forum so you can look for yourself. Maybe I did not do that right. Hold on. Yeah, I did not do that. But don't worry about the... actually, this one I might delete that message because that one just said World Economic Forum. I copied that word down so I could type it, make it easier to just copy and paste into the search bar for Twitter to where I could pull it up real quick instead of typing it. Because as I said at the start of the show, I have a hard time talking and typing at the same time. But that's on the World Economic Forum's Twitter account from February 2018. But remember what I said earlier in the show with them in 2021 welcoming Putin to the World Economic Forum. So they're putting on a dog and pony show, making you think, oh, Putin's bad, Ukraine's good, dividing us even more when they're all sitting behind the scenes laughing. Look at our politicians going to Ukraine, supposedly walking a war zone. Do you think they're going to allow a politician, if they say that they don't want politicians in harm, or like they said they were in danger on January 6th of 2020 with the whole supposed insurrection, but yet they can walk around in a war zone? I mean, think about it. They're laughing at us from behind the scenes. And again, I'll let you look at the whole World Economic Forum. They talk about sea levels rising in New Zealand, the Amazon, so much more. But you can look at all their posts and you read it for yourself. Or you can see what other people say. But I'm giving you direct access to the World Economic Forum because that's the best source for everything there. Now, I don't think Nina Jankowskis, or however you pronounce her name, has any more post about our Twitter account unless she has a thing. But there's a video up there kind of singing a Christmas song, but changing the words up to talk about fascism, logging down Australia and stuff like that. I mean, this is complete evil. She's singing about it and making you think, oh, this is all good. I mean, that was a video of her, not, even though this person, Timothy Rube, posted about it, that's exactly her singing about it, this stuff. I mean, they're evil just putting it out there. I mean, you can look for yourself. Again, I don't have a link unless there is. It's under Nina Jankowskis, Ministry of Truth, but I doubt that. I don't think she would go that far. But let's look at the Disinformation Governance Board. And they do have a Twitter account that I know of. And we're going to get to it here in a second. Of course, if you just type in the Disinformation Governance Board, you find a link to all the people talking about it. But let's see. I know they have. I just don't have it here. Hold on, I'm trying to get it pulled up here. All right, I think this is it. Yeah, this is it. Pretty sure this is it. Maybe not. I guess not. I'll have to look for it. If I find one. But if you look about this Information Governance Board on Twitter, just type that in, and you'll find a whole host of people talking about it. The only let's see, where is it? I'm just trying to find something like Big Sis is watching you. I mean, think about it. They are watching us. Think about when we mention, we're at somewhere talking about peanut butter, and there's an ad that comes up for peanut butter. I mean, or we're talking about something else, and the ad comes up on TV or on our phones. They're listening to our devices and putting this out. And again, I'm just giving you the information, and I'll let you look at that. But I'm going to just leave the only link in there for the World Economic Forum, because for some reason I can't find the Twitter accounts for the other two. But you can type in those names and search them for yourself. Now let's finish up the night by talking about, for the next 10, 13 minutes, talking about the World Economic Forum Great Reset page. Oops. I just hit the wrong key there for a second. I almost lost everything that I was going to talk about. But I'm going to put up the World Economic Forum's website with the link to their page, The Great Reset, and you can read along. We're only going to talk about a few items here, but on this first page, at the very top of it, it says the pandemic represents a rare but narrow window of opportunity to reflect, reimagine, and reset our world. Professor Klaus Schwab, founder and executive chairman, World Economic Forum. What does he mean by that? Well, it means they had that narrow window of locking down everybody, getting people afraid of the boogeyman, if you will, this virus. And there are still a lot of people that are still afraid of it. I'm not saying that you shouldn't be. I'm not saying that you can't be, because that's your own belief, that's your own decision. But I'm trying to present you with the information that I have in front of me, what I am seeing, what I am reading, what my thoughts are on it, my opinions, my beliefs, and letting you make up your own mind whether you want to believe it or not. But again, it's their own words right there in black and white in front of me, and it could be in front of you if you're reading it as well. So again, that's linked up on the Talk of the Night chat here on Spreaker.com. You can click on that whether you're listening live or listening to the recording of the show, and check it out for yourself. But we're going to go up here to the top left corner, and we're going to click on, let's go to, when you click on it, there's a search bar, but below it, there's different things where it says featured topics, other topics, explore the forums, so much more. But we're going to talk about, let's see, what do we want to talk about? Let's go to agenda under explore the forums. And you're going to find a bunch of stories here. And like Davos 2022, Ukraine, inflation, and the pandemic, the big issues coming up at Davos, according to historian Adam Tooze, whatever. however you pronounce his last name. But they're meeting up later this month in Davos, Switzerland and of course, somebody like me, somebody like another independent journalist, or even our own press might not even be allowed at this event. Yes, there might be cameras that are sent to the signal sent from those cameras to news medias, but I doubt they're going to present anything like that in mainstream media, to where they might, because they're evil just like that, to where they'll put it out there right in front of your face. But the little people, they sell memberships. And little people like myself can't afford membership to question them. And you can't get in without a membership. Remember what I talked about earlier, the Illuminati, the Bilderberg, secret groups like the Skull and Bones. I mean, secret societies. I mean, think about it. They were hiding it before. Now they're just out in the open, but they're saying, well, we're going to make it impossible for you to attend this, where you can question our narrative, question our agenda. And all you can do is talk about it on the internet. But if you say something we don't like, we're going to cut out your tongue. I think they're going to be doing soon with the Disinformation Governance Board. And I mean, who's the biggest liar out of all of them? Mainstream media, our own government, these elitists, they're the liars. But they're putting out this information as like, well, we're putting the information out here, we're telling you the truth. Well, yes, they are telling you exactly what they planted. But they're also at the same time, if you talk about it like I'm talking about it now, if you say one wrong thing about it, they're going to cut out my tongue. Not literally, or at least I hope not. But they're also at the same time cutting out my tongue, being allowed to, and by that I mean censoring it. That means they're also cutting off your ears to where you can't hear what I have to say. You can't hear the information that I'm putting out. And that's where the evil comes into this world. Is we allow this stuff to happen. They're talking about floating city under the agenda. There's so many different posts there, articles and stuff like that. Now, if we go back and let's go to blockchain under other topics. Again, I want to try and cover as many here as we can. But helping digital leader technology reach its full potential. The World Economic Forum is committed to helping and ensuring that blockchain securely decentralizes the transfer of information in ways that reduce corruption, increase trust, and empower users. Well, what is that saying? They're saying, well, we're going to have a monopoly on what information gets to you to reduce corruption. But no, they're not reducing corruption. They're just going to silence those that talk about it, so it makes it seem like they're reducing corruption. But if we can't talk about it, if somebody can't talk about it like myself or somebody else that sees this information and says they're being corrupt, then they're hiding that corruption. Means that you can't hear what I have to say, what information I might have gotten, what I've seen, what I've researched, everything like that. And by doing that, cutting out my tongue, it cuts off your ears to where you get only their information, and then you believe that there is no corruption. They reduce the corruption. I mean, think about it. again, I'm trying to open your eyes, have you open your minds to think about this for yourself. And again, I only shared the link to the Great Reset website. Everything that I'm talking about, you can look up yourself, because there's so much more on the website and everything like that. This is from the World Economic Forum themselves. Let's see. Let's try and find one more thing that we can talk about before we talk about tomorrow night's show. Let's see. Let's go to... We talked about climate change. Well, let's talk about that real quick. Again, I think they are the biggest polluters in the world. I mean, limiting top one, our mission, limiting global warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius to avoid a catastrophe. The World Economic Forum is committed to supporting global efforts in the private and public sectors to limit global temperature rise and stave off disaster. We aim to work with leaders to increase climate commitments, collaborate with partners to develop private initiatives, and provide a platform for innovators to realize their ambition and contribute to the solution. But they're not contributing to their solution. They want you, as I said earlier, to believe what they have to say, that they're not the big polluters, but we are. That's what they're telling us. Do they want to block out the sun? Well, like I said, with the chemtrails, I think they're doing that. At the same time, controlling the weather. Again, I don't have proof that that's what they're doing with the chemtrails. But think about it. Think about it. Open your mind. Ask questions. Even of me, of everything that I've talked about tonight. Ask questions. If you got a question for me, type it in the chat, whether it's live or afterwards. Send me a message on Facebook or any of the other social media sites. I would love to hear from you. I would love to talk and discuss this with you. But by them wanting to cut out our tongue and people that talk about this stuff, then that message doesn't get out to everybody and everything like that. So again, that's that. I might have a couple more minutes to talk about something else. Let's talk about the digital economy, because we talked about the digital currency. Navigating digital disruption and transition to a new normal. They don't want us going back to the old ways. They want us going to a new normal that they plan and everything like that. And this says it says our mission. The World Economic Forum is committed to helping companies leverage technology to become more agile in the face of disruption and the fostering digitally enabled business models. We aim to tap into our communities of more than 500 senior leaders and our deep digital transformation expertise to equip companies to better respond to contemporary challenges and responsibly lead us into the economy of tomorrow. But only in their eyes, a way they want it to go, to where if we go to a cashless society, again, if I say something they don't like, they could cut off my funds. If you say something they don't like, whether you agree, if you agree with them now, eventually they're going to cut off your tongue because you're going to say something that you don't like because you saw something that they talked about that you didn't like. And then guess what? 1984 by George Orwell, Ministry of Truth. They cut out your tongue and basically you have no platform to say it. And then that's how they control everything. But again, I'll leave it up to you to decide if you want to discuss it with me. Pop it in the chat, whether it's live now with the next 5 minutes or the recording afterwards, or send me a message on Facebook or comment under the post about tonight's show. Whatever. I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. Also, be sure to like, subscribe, and follow on all the social media sites, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Discord, YouTube. The show is on Spreaker Live, but Monday through Friday at 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. Central Time. But also, if you don't have time to listen live, you can listen to it on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Spotify, TuneIn, Amazon Music, Facebook Podcasts, YouTube, and I think a few more have been added, but I haven't had a chance to talk about those or add those to the website. But tomorrow night, join me tomorrow night at 9 p.m. Central Time as we talk about a romance type story, but with a supernatural twist. A mystery romance with a supernatural twist. As I'm joined by my guest, Mary Severis. And again, I probably butchered the name, but I will get it right tomorrow before the show, because I have my guest call in 10 minutes before I go on the air, so we can talk about that. And I'll get it right, the pronunciation right, before we talk to her tomorrow night. But please welcome my guest tomorrow night at 9 p.m. Central Time as we welcome Mary Severis as we talk about her mystery romance with a supernatural twist, Tigers Love Bubble Baths, and Obsession Perfume, Who Knew, novel. And then we're going to talk about some other things in the supernatural world as well. And of course, if you want to find out what's coming up on the Talking the Night website, go to talkingthenight.com. You can find all the upcoming guests. You can find the story of the day, Talking the Night news, this day in history. If you want to sponsor the show, if you want to find the archives of all the shows that I've done, including this one, there will be a recap of the last show, which this one will be put up there tonight by midnight, so it's ready to be posted at midnight to where you can listen on the website as well as all the other places that I mentioned. Also, if you'd like to advertise or be a guest on the show, you can contact me on the Talking the Night website at talkingthenight.com or Facebook or anywhere else. So, until tomorrow night when I welcome my guest, Mary Severis. Again, I hope I didn't butcher it too bad, but I will talk about that tomorrow night when I welcome her to the show. But until then, as we talk about Tigers Love Bubble Baths and Obsession Perfume, Who Knew, her novel, and so much more, I shall see you on the dark side. Good night from Talking the Night. Late at night, darkness has fallen. Turn on the radio, and you hear him talking. Listening to what he has to say, all about the paranormal and all of the things. When he sounds off, you can hear him say, see you on the dark side.